Hello, Internet. Welcome back to That's Everyone Show on Tuesday. I'm your host, Tim TK, joined as always by Brent Larson.
Hi.
And Jose Fuentes is currently on his way to Emerald City Comic Con, so we're going to be there this weekend. Make sure to stop by his booth, say hello, buy some art. Ron Portier is on vacation. And if you want to buy comics or check out our other stuff, scan the QR code. This is the Silverline website. Yeah, but right now it's just Brent and I tonight, as all of our other co-hosts are otherwise indisposed.
It's lonely at the top.
Indeed it is. And if Brent makes any micro expressions or hand gestures or pulls out a murder board to connect the dots, I can't see anything because I'm still having issues with StreamYard. So,
nope. I have all kinds of political ads, though. Just which ones for which side? Oh, I'll never tell.
Yeah. John McDuffie for comptroller.
I like his work.
Exactly. Very good at comptrolling things. So we'll be talking about deadlines in comics tonight, and I have a cat behind my monitor playing with my STEM toys. No, yeah, nothing in the house game yet, I don't think. So just kind of getting straight into it. And of course, we have a mixed background here. Of course, Bert and I both work in comics to whatever extent we do, but also Brent has plenty of creative work in film, and then I come from the short fiction prose world, and also some freelance copywriting, which, if you want to talk about deadlines, that is, well, dear God. Anyway. Yeah. So I'll kind of open the floor to you first, Brent. When it comes to the subject of deadlines in general, what's your overall experience, overall takes on the concept of deadlines?
Well, I would say I'm just going to come at it straight from the writing perspective. And you still there?
Yes, yeah. Just weird internet issues over here.
You went full Cylon icon there for just a second. Deadlines are funny when you're a writer, because unless you work for a newspaper, you are going to have to impose them on yourself. And you are going to have to do it even if you don't know if it will pay off in any way. Like if you get a screenplay optioned, or if you pitch a book idea, you can get an advance, and then you can start to spend it. And there is kind of a deadline involved with that. But we're probably talking more at people who are just straight out, I want to be a writer, and I want to write stuff. And the fact is, deadlines, you have to impose them on yourself, but you have to impose them on yourself. There's almost no way around it. And for me, I dress it up in the language of goals. But at the end of the day, they're deadlines. I'm putting them on myself. I am refusing to let them go unless I have an incredibly good reason. And maybe they're not that good of reasons, but I mean, they're reasons like I haven't slept in 3 days, or my wife is sick and I got to take care of her, something like that. But just like anyone else, my reason for blowing a deadline might be because I just want to watch TV, or man, I'm tired. And you got to plow through it. And if you don't, you're not going to get anywhere. That's really just the way it is in writing. So,
yeah. I like the way that you said you dress up as goals, because oftentimes when you first get into a creative field, you think of the deadline of a finished product done by this date, which, yes, but that's definitely more so the case when you have something like an advance where the publishing house is like, okay, we're going to give you this much money to essentially cover your cost of living while you write. But we need to have the manuscript delivered to our editorial team by this date. Or working in a film, like that's when the producer is like, okay, we got to have something to shoot by this date. Or in comics, if you're working for a big publisher, that's you have to have your script done and in hand for the illustrator so many weeks, and you can work ahead of that. Like Chip Zdarsky worked ahead of those deadlines on Marvel last year, so he's actually written. So insider baseball knowledge for comics, Chip Zdarsky is currently one of the main creative heads for a lot of the stuff going on in Marvel, him and Al Ewing. But Chip wrote through all of 2026 by December of last year. He's working on his deadline. So
yeah, that's an impressive work ethic.
Yeah.
And you can contrast that with any number of, and there aren't a lot of them, thankfully, but there are some even major talent who started out writing comics and just could not hit a deadline to save their lives.
Yeah.
And we have unfinished stories and fans who are like, we invested. What happened? It's not cool. It feels like an affront. It's hard to get away from it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Let's say, well, wait, when you said talk about goals, though, I think that's a better way to look at it, especially if you're an independent, like, or if you are in, if you work for something like, or if like you're publishing something like Orbit or Rock, where they don't necessarily pay in advance because a lot of genre publishers aren't working that kind of money anymore.
Yeah.
But where it's you'll be pitching like the book once you have it completed, so it's like the book I'm working on right now. My I don't really have like a manuscript in hand date, but I have a this chapter done by this many weeks date or whatever.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing right now. I'm on the third draft of a novel I'm writing, and I've committed to doing a rewrite on a chapter a week.
Yeah, okay.
Which I could probably turn up the heat a little on myself, but that's also something else you have to do when you're working with deadlines / goals. You need to be realistic, because the second you start thinking, I'm so motivated right now, I can do 3 hours of writing a day. Some people can do that. But if you haven't been able to do it up until now, the fact that you feel really good about yourself is not going to equate with more time and better habits overnight. So realism is your friend when you're building deadlines.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, oh god, was it Terry Pratchett? I think he like famously, like, his self-imposed deadline was 300 words per day, which obviously he wrote a lot more, but that was his, like, he knows that even on a bad day he can write 300 words.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny because I work better on a time deadline, mostly because I've tried this, and this is something that everyone kind of needs to do too when they're building deadlines into the schedule, is what do you actually hope to accomplish in that deadline? Because for me, I don't go with a word count simply because for me, the act of writing it encompasses a lot of stuff. I spent a lot of time. It's crazy how much time I've spent on things like ChatGPT trying to get phrasing just right for the phrase. Or I've researched different historical events for the Kalis comic that I'm doing. And I mean, that all counts as writing. And I know this because I know when I have stopped researching and have started to screw around, which I'm like, okay, enough of that. Get back to work. And then I'm writing again, even if I'm not pumping out words. And that's why a time deadline works better for me.
Yeah.
But maybe not for, I mean, Tim, do you work with a time deadline or do you work with a word count? What's the best thing?
I think it depends. For comics, I definitely do a time deadline because you can write a page and it'll be 50 words, or you can write a page and it'll be, close to 1,000. Probably not 1,000. The Lizard doing like some insane. Well, no, we did like a shattered glass type thing. So I have done close to 1,000 once, but it was a weird formatting one.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
that does change things too.
but because you have such a weird variable in comics, and also it's you're going panel by panel, and writing based on time, like it just makes more sense to me because like I can write about anywhere from 6 to 12 pages of a comic script in maybe 2 days. But I can write like half a script in about 2 days. And because there's gonna be so much time, that's just panel 1, Cyclops enters the room.
Yeah.
But with novels, like writing prose, I liked word counts. I'm not sure. I think it's kind of switching a little bit with this current project because I'm doing longer form because I'm trying to be a bit more commercial with this one. Because I'm coming from like novella space, which is 50 to 80,000 words, not a whole lot, but enough to get by. Just the old standard, what you'd used to, but now like 100,000 words is kind of the minimum. For the houses that I'm looking at potentially pitching to, and so I'm doing. Oh shoot, what's her name? Star Wars Cardinal. Not Dave. What's her name? Shoot.
You looking for a author of a Star Wars?
Delilah Dawson, yeah. Delilah Dawson. She and I forgot her writing partner's name, but they had a podcast. I talked a lot about stuff, and I picked up how they, because I have a similar writing style to her, where I'm more of an architect as opposed to a gardener. And it's very easy to get lost in the weeds when you're pre-writing, right? And and so something I picked up from them that I've had success with, and I've now kind of turned into my own thing, is doing this long form chapter by chapter outline, which sounds super basic, but essentially you are writing like IMDb summaries for each chapter.
Oh, how interesting.
And you use that as part of your pre-write, because as you're writing what essentially is like a Marvel script of a novel,
right,
you're going to be detailing out like, well, this should be in a different location for this one, so I'm going to write this, and then I'll create the location in my pre-write, and then I'll go through and I can research that later. So it's kind of a weird way of architecting to go back and do more world building after the fact, which I kind of like. And I like that because it allows me to not get lost in the weeds. It allows me to actually write through a full 30 plus chapters that'll equate to about 3,000 words per chapter to about 100,000 words or 120,000 words. And then I can go back and then if there's something in there, I'm like, when I get to actually writing my draft, I'm like, oh, I haven't fleshed this out. I can go back and outline and research it more, but I'll already have the basics in the summary of that chapter.
That's cool. I think that's kind of what I did. Where I basically outlined all the beats that I hope to hit and how to move the story forward. And then I think I started writing. No, I think I had the whole thing outlined before I started writing. Nice. But I mean, the funny thing is, you get to a point where you're like, okay, I think I am no longer planning to write this novel, and now I'm just putting it off.
Right.
And that's when you're like, whoa, okay, so you're going for the handwritten note.
Yeah, so like this is a chapter, this is a chapter, right?
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've basically I love Google Docs. That is become my new favorite platform. Just the ability. I've even done stuff on my phone, and it's just like, and probably I've tried doing stuff with handwriting, and frankly, I think I just like that I write in my space, and that's
Mm,
where I do my best thinking. Which is funny because you'd think, well, you have a notebook and a pen, you can make any space your space. Weirdly enough, it's the opposite for me. I'm like, no, I have to go back to the place.
yeah.
And I might have one or two other the places, but yeah. So
There's there's a pub in Salem here that has $6 pints, so that's kind of my go-to space.
nice. Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, I like the handwriting because what my main benefit that I gain from that is that I'll the portability of being able to like have multiple things open at once. So I'll go from I notice I have a multi-monitor setup, but
Hmm.
like I'll go through, I'll do all my chapter outlines like that, and then I'll hand write the first chapter as much as I can of that, or
Yeah.
and then when I go to do my second draft, I'll carry over from my notepad into my computer, and kind of that process of it gives you the same like thing as if you're like read through your work backwards, right? Is when
Hmm.
you're actually transposing that way, you're like you pick up on your imperfections a lot easier than just redrafting.
Hmm. Interesting.
At least in my mind. Yeah.
I should try that. What's funny is I've written a bunch of short stories. This is the first novel I've ever tried. And whenever I think about talking about my process, I start to frankly lose myself because I don't know if I have one. I
Mm-hmm.
just I know it's almost like the thing that I know of is when I am working. And that is the thing that probably was the biggest revelation that helped me as a writer was treating, and this some people might actually think this is bad advice, but treating my writing as if it's work.
Yeah.
Not it's not a hobby. It is not it's not even artistic art endeavor. It's work. Because any other pursuit that I have, if I don't want to do it, I won't.
Mm-hmm.
But writing and I've read a bunch of books about writers and their processes, and the fact is, it is so easy to talk yourself out of doing it. But the fact is, it just won't happen unless you sit down and do it yourself. And that's what that's what we're talking about in terms of
Yeah.
deadlines. That's why they are necessary. You can't really plan to succeed as a writer, and so many people, and my heart goes out to people who want to be writers, because I'm just like, man, is there a bigger millstone you can tie around your neck than I want to be a writer?
Right.
Because it's so hard to pull off that literally you just walk around feeling like a loser all the time. I'm not writing, I'm not writing. I say I want it, but I'm not
Mm-hmm.
doing it. What does this say about me? Well, nothing good. I just want to say, people, it's okay. You can give yourself a break.
Yeah.
But if you actually really want this, it is going to cost you. There is no getting away from this. It will cost you. Here's how it's costed me. I love video games. I
Mm-hmm.
hardly ever play them anymore. I just don't have the time. And why? Because I make myself right. It's work. I feel so good when I hit a personal deadline. When I hit my goal, I feel like I'm making this happen. The thing that I really wanted, I am making happen. It's a great feeling. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about.
Yeah.
When you feel like I really want something and I'm not making it happen, I'm making other things happen, but I'm not making it happen. It is really lousy. But because of that, I mean, I really could use more sleep than what I'm getting.
Oh yeah.
But I can't do it. I gotta write. And I take 2 hours at the end of each day, and I mean, there are times when I'm literally thinking, I I need to not write right now. There are things that are more urgent that demand my attention, and they had better be pretty darn good. Like something had better be on fire, or someone is probably throwing up. But other than that, no, I'm sorry. The chores around the house and the chores are my Achilles heel. That's the
Mhm.
thing that's going to grab my attention and say, no, you really need to clean the kitchen. The bugs are coming. Your house will be unlivable inside of 2 weeks. Those are lies. Don't worry about it. I'm going to go and I'm going to write instead, and I will take care of the kitchen some other time.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like we're and this is where like your point of being realistic comes in handy. Is like you have to understand where your life is set up, where what is the cost you're giving up. Is it just going to be do you have or someone that is retired, or maybe you work part-time, or you are work from home, where you can have a situation where you can take that hours out of part time, and the only thing you're giving up is that time cost.
Mhm.
um or you know me, I work full time at a day job, plus I'm teaching myself how to illustrate, plus I
Mm,
write. So
wow.
like I'll do 15 minutes on a sketch or something like that, and then try to get either like a full chapter summary, or if I'm in the drafting process, then I'll do like 300 words or so that same day.
Mm,
Um, and now it's sleep and food cost and hobby cost, like video games. And
mhm.
then like uh, and then Saturday morning from like 8 to 1 p.m. I'm open my Steam library and no one talk to me.
That's nice. Yeah, I mean, I love going to the movies. It's one of my
Mhm.
favorite things to do. I have a unlimited pass, and there are always at least 5 or 6 movies in a theater I wanna see that I know I can't see because I have to write instead. And, it's a hassle, and it's frustrating. The frustration doesn't get much better, frankly, because I'm just constantly thinking, "Man," but at the end of the day, I know I can't give it up. I want
Mhm.
it too bad. I just wanna write, and the funny thing is, and anyone who gets wants to come back at me with this, I accept anything criticism you throw my way. I don't know if I'm a good writer. I think I am, or good enough anyway. But I do know this, and that is I'm not a bad writer by virtue of the fact that I have put the time into it to make myself less sucky. If
Right.
this is the ultimate goal that I have, I accept that. It's okay. I want to be a writer enough that I will put in the time, and if one day I find out that my friends were all buying my comics because they felt sorry for me, that will be a little bit of a blow, but not as much as you think, because frankly, it's just I got to do what I wanted,
Yeah.
and that is really cool. I mean, so many things in this world, especially just with the rapid fire attention grabbing things around us. Uh, the fact that I have been able to turn that off enough to take a real stab at doing something that I really want to do with my life is of incredible, value, just personal value. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's and like, kind of the same thing where we always think that we're always, as creators, always be our biggest critic, and that's honestly like the worst. The thing working against you the most when it comes to meeting deadlines is your own inner voice telling you it's not even worth it. But the thing that I always like about it is like it doesn't matter if my writing isn't at the scale that I want it to be, because even bad movies and bad books have their own fan bases.
Mm.
Like more power to them. I do not think the Percy Jackson books are all that well written. People love them.
Yeah, I know, right? And I mean, I I remember I remember when my wife and I went and saw the movie, McHale's Navy.
Oh.
And the reason we went, Tom Arnold was in it. That ought to tell you something. This is back in the 90s. And we went because a new movie theater had opened, and we're like, oh, let's go to the new movie theater. And it was the only one that wasn't sold out. That also should have told me something. It was so bad. But what's weird is I remember watching that movie and going, I could do better than this. I have no schooling and I could do better than this. And that was a huge milestone in my life. McHale's Navy. I'll bet you 1 in a million people couldn't say that. So, yes, bad stuff. Frankly, it's worth looking at and saying, why is this not working? I just saw a Netflix movie, Persuasion, with Dakota Johnson. Not a great movie, and I can tell you why. Because I've studied the genre, I've studied the medium, and I've studied storytelling, and that stuff is worthwhile to know if you're gonna take a stab at this kind of thing. And so, again, I'm not saying I'm an expert in any of it, but I know enough to start making my own way. And that is really all that writing really is. It's when you see something and say, I want to take a crack at it myself. No one's going to make me. I wish someone would make me, but they're not gonna. So I got to make myself.
Yeah.
That's really it.
I mean, that's kind of the two big things that really kind of like find drive creatives is it's some form of spite, either targeted at the world or at another project. Where either you have an idea like, hey, this is a cool idea. Why hasn't anyone told the story yet? I should do that. Or, why hasn't anyone drawn this yet? I should draw that. And or you have this thing where you see something like, that was garbage. I want to make it better.
Yeah. It is. Or what's weird is even good stuff. When you see something and your mind just suddenly, has this happened to you, where you're watching something and it could be good, it could be bad, it could be whatever. And it's like your mind suddenly, it's like someone has lit your face on fire, and you're like, suddenly your mind's spinning off in places that have nothing to do with what you're watching. It's because you're just thinking, this is a story that I would have told. This is the direction I would have taken. Oh, what if that guy wasn't a good guy? He was a bad guy. What would that mean? What are the implications? And that's when it's just another instance of when writing is actually fun. It's when you're actually feeling like almost like you have something unique to say. I mean, this person who has made a film, all these people who have made this one film, it's exciting, it's cool, or maybe it's lousy, I don't know. But that was their take on it. If you had a chance to do it yourself, this is what you would have done.
Right.
And then, yeah.
I had it recently actually with this book that I'm currently working through. I'm working through Star Wars Lords of the Sith. And that's like where I like the book. I like what it's doing. I think it's interesting how they are taking like essentially the grand opera of Star Wars and with all the space wizards that normally you have to do planet hopping with and bottled it into a Western style pursuit story. But then my thought is, well, I could take some modifications to this, and now I have an RPG campaign module that I could, connect with one of the RPG systems that have a open license, like Daggerheart or D&D 5th edition, where I just take that inciting incident and then switch a few things, and now it's you're in the middle of a political conspiracy trying to uncover traitors, or are you the traitors? This whole thing. But just kind of get an idea of reading through this book and then reverse engineering it in a way of, well, I just take similar beats and then modify them into something unrecognizable.
And that's absolutely legit in terms of story building, because I mean, think of come on, Star Wars. What's George Lucas reimagining Iron Fortress on another planet? I mean, It's almost like he didn't even change the beats. And no one's given him a hard time. It was because, was he using his imagination? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And did the characters that come up with stay around? Well, you tell me. I mean, people still know who Luke Skywalker is. What other movie came out in 1977? Nobody even knows anymore. So it's okay to rip off. Now, be careful about it. Don't be stupid about
Mm-hmm.
it. But I mean, Kalis came about because I thought, what if instead of Superman landing on our planet, one of our guys landed on someone else's planet? What would happen?
Mm-hmm.
And it took a long time to percolate, I'll admit. But I mean, was it an original idea? I don't know. Original ideas are really cool, but what's funny is whenever someone comes at me with an original idea, a lot of times it's so off the wall. I'm not even interested. It's more like someone has they're trying to prove how quirky they are, which is not good storytelling. There's such a thing as good quirky storytelling. There's lots of people out there who think things are funny and interesting, but they're not fit in the context of a story, in which case they're just kind of these weird little, I don't know. It's trying to turn ice cream sprinkles into an actual meal.
Mm-hmm.
So no thanks.
Well, yeah. That's also kind of yeah. And then one of my favorite genres is absurdism, and unfortunately that's full prone to people like, well, if I just it's very easy to fall into the trap of being everything too absurd. Uh, just for the sake of, oh, this is shocking.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
and that's okay. I've
yeah,
I've I've seen or read shocking things. If it's in the
mhm,
context of a story that
yeah,
has is written by someone who understands story, then that's there's greatness there, or even goodness. I'll settle for goodness.
yeah,
I don't think I'm not aspiring to greatness anymore. I don't know
sure,
why I did. Right now, I'm more just like, I hope I'm adequate, but I can live with that.
yeah.
As long as, like when you know, uh, have you ever had the experience where you write a story and you're like, I was not at my best here?
Oh yeah,
Yeah. And okay, so you finished something. That's worth a couple of pats on the back. But when you do your best work, when you feel like I have told a story and I was on all cylinders, that is a great feeling. So,
mm,
um, and having said that, I cannot remember why I started talking about this.
right. Well, I think I was gonna say is the nice thing about absurdism though is you kind of get into this idea of the context of what you're working on can also affect how you set your own timelines. Like we already talked about the medium, how that can writing a film script versus writing a novel versus writing a comic book is all going to have a different idea of what your deadline should be. But then also like the subject matter, like with Wolf Hunter and also like with Chaos, like I'm pretty sure we had longer deadlines or work timelines on those storylines because we had to research historical events or make sure the details were correct or understand certain things. Whereas if I'm working on something absurd, like and it could be like strictly absurdism, like the was it Skate or Die? My story about a skating mushroom, um, or Soul Ascendant. Soul Ascendant, like I already had like the basic understanding of like the science I wanted on there, and it wasn't really going to be pushing too much on science, and I already have a weirdly deep understanding of Roman gods for Latin no longer being a prominent language. Where I'm like, okay, I don't really need to research anything about this. I'm just going to let her rip.
Mhm.
And if you're writing something that's absurdism, where like there's not a whole lot of grounding detail, you can also just kind of let it rip. So if we're writing a historical novel or something like uh, as a Doctor Strange and Mister Norrell, right? The writer has spent a lot of time researching the Napoleonic War because they had to get a lot of details in there.
Mhm.
Whereas if you're just writing something like Harry Potter, you you just go.
Yeah, except you know what? When I think about Harry Potter, frankly, I don't think J.K. Rowling at any point was like, I'm just gonna make up some crap and not worry about it. I mean, holy cow, is that series structured like amazingly? Like there's never any doubt in my mind that she didn't know where she was going, which is the mark of a really good writer. So when I think of absurdism, actually, you know what? I'm not sure what I think of when I think of absurd. What would you say is a good example of absurdism?
Well, because you have absurdities, which is just like a form of genre, which is that it's there's not a whole lot of grounding to it. So that's why I seen Harry Potter's, because she just had to like have understanding of London, and then she can pre-write from there. Like she still would take time to structure it, of course, but she didn't need to like spend the whole time researching the London Underground. If you want to like true absurdism as like an expressionary genre, then that would be something like my favorite novel, which is Gun with Occasional Music, which is a gene punk murder mystery set in a undescribed future where the written word has been outlawed. So you get the news through a daily musical broadcast.
Okay.
And so everyone has an understanding of what notes mean what. The detective, lead detective, had his genitals swapped with his ex-wife before she left, and is now like surgically altered beyond like without his want, and is hunting down a anthropomorphic mafia where a kangaroo given sapience is attempting to stop him from solving this crime.
Okay, that sounds pretty absurd. Now I will say this. Well, actually, let me ask you, because I haven't read this novel. Did you at any time feel like the author was just screwing around? Like screwing around as in like, I don't want to work on this book, so I'm just gonna make a mafia kangaroo.
No, and that's kind of like the interesting thing is like, well, you get the ones where you'd seen like this is absolutely out of the blue, and then a chapter or two later, it suddenly ties into like, oh, this is a greater theme, or no, this is like this idea is insane, but the world itself is insane, so it just fits right into the narrative.
Yeah. And I mean, the fact that you love it so much probably indicates that the author was, even when he was being absurdist, was doing it very skillfully. Like, I'm going to get wrapped in the mouth for this, but The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yes.
That's what I think of when I think of absurdism. And I read it in high school, and I liked it for what it was. But to be honest, I have no interest in reading it again. I feel like it didn't have a very strong emotional center, and as a result, it just felt like kind of silly sometimes.
Yeah.
And people are, please write to me. I could, use more fan mail if you want. But I mean, what it comes down to is that I read books because I want a strong emotional story, which can totally happen in an absurdist world, just like it can happen in any other, just as long as the writer is making sure that he or she is really trying to tell good characters. If they have chosen the absurdist method, genre, world, whatever you call it, they've done it because they have something to say, and that is the best way to do it. Like, this guy who wanted to, what did you say, the Napoleonic Wars, some wars? Yeah. I'm guessing it's because that writer just really is fascinated by that era.
And we can tell that is too, but also like that's also the only book they wrote because they spent so much time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know about that guy, but obviously you can do it to a fault.
Yeah.
But I will say this: from personal experience. I read the book. What's it called? It is called not Up from the Ashes, but Legacy of Ashes, I think. Anyway, it's a story about the CIA
Mm-hmm.
and in America, the history of it, and how it is just one unchecked behemoth that has wrought carnage throughout history. Now, obviously, it's got a point of view, but I read it and I could not wait to incorporate that into my Kayla story because it was so organic. It was, I still look at it as in like, oh man, God was giving me a gift right there. So, I've read other books about the CIA, but it just didn't really spark it the way that one did. So uh, if we were spinning this in any kind of writing advice, I would say pay attention to what it is that interests you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't write a novel when really what you want to do is write a huge essay on why you just think that mushrooms are the best, and fun guy is just so fantastic. Write an essay or do some kind of a blog post. It's okay, but if it makes you think about a story, then write it. And you may be the only person in the world who knows how to write about mushrooms in a way that resonates with people who don't care much about mushrooms, but they love stories and they love new stuff. And it lines up very nicely.
Yeah. Well, I think what my point was to say is, depending on like your subject matter and on your understanding, and also your interest in that, you can use that to inform your writing goals. For someone like Terry Pratchett, who's writing Discworld, where there's not a whole lot of grounding to it, he just had a really good understanding of character and wanted to tell a bunch of really funny stories. So he just he knew that when he's sitting down for a day, it was just putting words on a page. Whereas, if you're spending time doing something like your writing day may also include maybe an hour on researching or an hour on synthesizing some data into, so that way you know that you'll need to accommodate that that oh, I also need to do this to make my story as good as it's going to be. So maybe I'll spend a little more time doing this rather than just putting words on a page.
Yeah. And again, the realism with what you're trying to do, and that is kind of again, it's so much of writing is self cheerleading, but self direction too.
Yeah.
And if you decide I need to research what I've had to research various things for Kalis especially, but I'll put in the time and then I'll do whatever I need to make it worthwhile to my writing. But I'll know when I am just like, I really don't want to write stuff. I really just want to keep checking things out on the internet. And it's then when I have to say, no, you have a job to do. Get on the job, and you'll start feeling better about it later on. But for now, you do not need to know why the story of Mark Ruffalo just keeps getting sadder and sadder. Just forget about it and get back to work. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I guess kind of to tie back into the whole thing is that what makes kind of what we're talking about is the deadlines of working as a writer are one thing, because it's all, for the most part, it's self set. And then we're in a weird position in independent comics where very possibly you could like script out your entire series and then pay your writer their page, your illustrator their page rate, and have them come in after the fact and start working on it. Or the way that I did my last 2 books is the publisher got a hold of the illustrator and let them know that, like, we'll have scripts for you on this date, this date, this date. And so then I had to go ahead and then make sure I was meeting those deadlines at the same time.
That was useful, I'll bet.
Yeah. Yes. Well, until you have like a weird thing where like life just like throws you, not just several lemons, but like a lemon cart and an Albertson's grocery delivery of lemons. It flipped over on the side of the highway. And so then you're like, oh, I'm way far behind. So that's when you kind of have that those days where like I am just going to become a hermit. I'll have some PTO, so I'll call to work, and then I'll go to our Starbucks and just script out of my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is another cool thing about, frankly, writing is you know what you need
Mm-hmm.
to do to close the deal. And like a weird thing about me is I write pretty well under pressure. So if I need to get something knocked out for work, I need to write a script for work or something like that. And I know that I have actually, even I was working on something tonight. Normally, I don't work on work stuff at night, but I have a deadline and I needed to get it in tomorrow. And my ideas came together a lot better just because I knew that I didn't have a lot of time. So I don't know how other writers work, but I know how I work. And I do have the ability to control my own environment enough to make it conducive to writing if I gotta. So yeah, that is, again, there's so much. Writing is so much about taking control of what's around you and making it work for you, because you know at the end that if you blow a deadline or if you say you want to do a chapter a week and you didn't do it, you can't say it's because I just was feeling draggy all week, or darn it, I need a break. Work has been really hard. The fact is, you're the one who controls that, which means you also have to take on all the blame if you don't
Mm-hmm.
make the goal. So it's just kind of a sad reality. And there are people who would disagree with me and say, no, other people, just don't respect my goals, or okay, that's true, but you got to factor that into your process and maybe get away from those people a little bit if you're
Yeah.
trying to work on this, or if there is something that tempts you away from doing the goals, you're going to have to find a way to get away from those for a little while.
Mm.
It's all up to you. That's the cool and the hard thing about being a writer or being a creative at all, because I'm sure Jose would probably have a ton of things to say if he were here, or David. And the fact is, it's just easier to watch TV. It's
Mm-hmm.
easier to get on social media. It's easier to screw around. And but if this is what you really want, you just got to work at it, and you got to treat it like it's work.
Yeah.
So
It's yeah. Well, one of the other added benefits of while I can writing is I can essentially do it away from my computer that has all my games on it or all my streaming services.
mhm.
It's very easy then to just like focus on what is in front of me as opposed to having to have that temptation of like, well, I can just do this real quick.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I can get sucked into that morass too, where I'm just like, just a couple of minute break.
Mm-hmm.
Minute break. Okay. You know what? Yes. As a writer, as a creative, as an artist, you are entitled to breaks. It's okay. But at the end of the day, you are the one who knows if you are gearing yourself up for a 2 minute break that's going to turn into an hour break and you get nothing accomplished. It's all up to you.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Eh,
That is the reality of it. Let's see. Yeah. Well, I mean, we're coming up on the last 10 minutes here. Outside of I think there's only so much you can say on the lines because really it is you have to be honest with yourself. You have to set them appropriately, and I think maybe the only other thing to say is that understand that the only person you can compare yourself to is yourself. So as much we talk about our personal writing goals or other writers writing goals, it's good to get those kind of baselines to understand. Well, okay, where do I kind of fit into the grand scope of things? But you're going to write at your own pace or develop at your own pace, and you don't need to match us or anyone else word for word, really.
nope.
Yeah, you'll get you get an idea of what the industry works at because that's what you're if you're working with a publisher, that's what they'll want. But again, that's required because you could be someone like Andy Weir who is incredibly successful, but also self-published.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and another cool thing about writing is you get to say how successful you are. Like, I'll be honest, I've had a few things published. But at the end of the day, the thing that makes me happiest about writing is that I wrote, that I had a goal and I hit it. I It's not about making money. I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen in my lifetime. Something could change, and I would love it if it did. But if nothing ever happens with that, what I wrote and I kept a schedule and I did the work and I finished the things that I started out to do, that really translates into a lot of personal mileage for
Mm-hmm.
me. And the people that I meet that seem to struggle so much are the ones that have good ideas. They don't know how to start, or if they start, they don't know how to finish, and they just feel lousy. And I get it, because I was that way for a long time, and I can't even tell you exactly what aligned in my brain enough to help me. But I think the biggest thing was fitting in with this topic. It was when I started to look at this thing as something that needed a deadline, not an arbitrary, if I hit it, that's fine. If not, whatever. But something that was real.
Yeah.
And the more I treated it that way, the more it really started to take hold in the way I live my life, I guess. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's something like, I don't know, there might be a morbid way of thinking about it, but also I think something can be a hang up too for some people is thinking of in the comparison of the understanding, like, well, I'm not published at this point, so I'm not progressing at the rate I want to, or I haven't completed this yet by this age. And this, it kind of helped when I realized that there's a ton of writers whose works didn't sell until well after they died. So I'm thinking about this as a game that goes on 1,000 years after I die. As long as I get something in as long as I get a few things out before I croak, like, I've done it. And if you're thinking about, it'd be cool to leave, something behind. Like the idea of like you leave the world better than you found it, and part of that is leaving some sort of art or legacy that gives people an enjoyment in life. And so, no one's going to remember me for my day job or being a good driver, but if I can leave some published work out there, that's something that someone will find, and I'll live on well past my natural lifespan.
Yeah, the idea. I mean, I don't know if that motivates me very much, because again, I'm just not sure if I'm that good. And I've even had this thought: is my ultimate goal to write a novel that I will feel really good about and will entertain someone in an airport for a couple hours at a time? Because I don't know if that justifies all the time I'm putting into this. But at the end of the day, I'm like, but I don't want to do anything else. The idea of putting this story together, and now I'm in the phase where I'm looking at it and going, okay, I think it's decent, but I bet you I could make it even better. I mean, there's something about it where I'm just like, oh man, I can't rest until I make this thing better.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just find that tremendously motivating. Frankly, I mean, I wrote Kalis issue 1, and a couple of years later, I'm like, man, I was wordy. And so is that going to be the expression of that people will be thinking of me after I'm dead? And then someone's gonna uncover a Kalis issue 1 in their closet, and they'll read it and go, "Wow, this guy was wordy." I'll be dead. I'm not going to be thinking about them too much. I'm hoping that's not going to be the ultimate, my calling card to the world. Oh, this is how Brent wrote comics. Yeah, because I'm like, you know what? I've gotten better. I'm hoping I'll get better than I am now, in a way that's, I don't know, it's a little bit freeing. Just this idea of, yeah, I guess I am an artist. I'm not a great artist, but I think I'm getting better. And it's just the only thing I really have to hold on to that is I'm hitting the deadlines and I'm doing the work. I mean, that
Yeah.
isn't just me throwing stuff down the drain. I mean, it's like I'm investing in something, and I don't even really know what it's going to look like when it's done. And that is, I guess, the day I get hit by a cement truck or whatever. But
Sure.
the end of the day, I'm like, this is coming together. I'm better than I was yesterday. Don't quite know how, but that is the way it happens. There's really no other way. That's why people who want to be a writer and write something amazing have to get it into their heads. You're not going to write anything amazing today or tomorrow, probably not even next year. But if you are writing something today or tomorrow, the odds of you writing something amazing next year go way up.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, this has been that Silverline show on Tuesday talking about deadlines. Let's pull up our Google Calendar. We'll also be down Ron again next week, and I believe David as well. I don't know if Jose might be back. He might be jet lagged. Let's see. Oh no, they changed the calendar. There we go. Yes. Next week we'll be talking about what's better, the single creator versus the team comic. So, obviously we have not. Brent and I are both writers. We have not done our own illustration, but we'll be talking about from the perspective of. I'm sure Bert can also talk about this from the film perspective, like the idea of the auteur, the person who has total creative direction and vision, versus when you're collaborating, and how many people is too much, and how many people do but what is the good amount to find new ideas and inspiration without putting too many chefs in the kitchen. And as well as as well as just talk about as fans of the medium, what kind of books we've enjoyed, and which ones we felt could have used from having some additional input, and what ones maybe had too much input. So we talk about that as well. So make sure to check out Wednesday OM and Silver Sunday on their respective times. We'll be back next week, but until then,
I don't have a band with me, so I'll just say it. Make
mine Silverline.
Hey, this is Paul Pelletier. Make mine Silverline. Is that okay, Roland?